Story 1. Yes, but I wouldn't decline the opportunity for a healthy relationship. I believe it is important to be in a relationship with yourself first. Story 2. I'm quite content being single. I was very boy crazy when I was in my teens and 20s. However, I'm also painfully shy and introverted. I attempted to date in my late 20s, but I hated it and I haven't dated since. Physical touch is one of my top love languages. I often found that my craving for love through physical touch was often conflated with kissing and hand-holding. One day, a friend of mine gave me a long hug, and I told her that it felt really good. She replied, "I remember that physical touch is your love language." In that moment, I felt truly happy to have a friend who could help me feel loved in the way I need. I realized that hugging my family, friends, and even my cat helps alleviate the loneliness I sometimes feel. I kiss, snuggle, and play with my nieces and nephews. I put my arm around my loved ones, and they reciprocate. My cat helps as well. He sits on my leg and purrs while I'm at my desk. He lays on my hip when I'm sleeping and sometimes curls up in the little spoon position, and I wrap my arm around him. It's important to still be social and spend time with friends. You're single, not antisocial. Let your friends and family know that you want or need hugs. Story 3. I am relatively content, but the cost of living as a single person can be challenging. Having two incomes makes everything easier. Story 4. Not just yes, but absolutely yes. I can do what I want when I want and with whom I want. There's no one to answer to but myself. It took a tremendous effort to rebuild my life after my father passed away, but I did. I don't believe there is anyone on this planet worth my joy. Tip from an elder to you younger folks. If you aren't happy alone, then you will never be happy with someone. Story 5. I wouldn't say I'm happy. I'm content. Being in a relationship does come with a lot of stress sometimes, and you appreciate the time by yourself. So, I'd say I'm not happy, just okay. Story 6. Not at all. I am extremely depressed about it every day. I just want to feel affection once in my life. Story 7. Honestly, I haven't found my person yet. I love to travel and make friends everywhere I go. I'm enjoying my youth as much as I can before I settle down. Story 8. I was married for 10 years, and marriage can be just as lonely as being single. It is important to work on yourself, know yourself, and want to be with yourself first before you can have a healthy relationship, in my opinion. You can also have fun while doing all that. Story 9. I'm not particularly unhappy, I guess. I feel kind of lonely in my empty apartment and empty life, but it is what it is. Story 10. Yes, my last two relationships lasted 4 years and 2.5 years respectively. So much time wasted trying to make something last a lifetime only to come to the harsh realization that all good things end eventually. After accepting this, I realized that the only person I should be worried about is myself. As a result, I have been much happier, working on advancing my career, going to the gym, and investing in a wardrobe that makes me feel more confident. I am in no hurry to find a partner. I have decided to leave those matters to fate. Also, it is such a breath of fresh air not to have to live up to someone's expectations or to count on someone else for my happiness. Story 11. I love it. I have never needed companionship and have always been content on my own. I appreciate the freedom that this gives me. Story 12. Yes, I am. Being single gives me the space to truly know myself, pursue my passions, and grow without pressure. I can move at my own pace, make choices for myself, and build a life that feels solid. It can be lonely at times, but the freedom and peace are invaluable. Story 13. First and foremost, I have never been in love or had any romantic experiences. To clarify, I am not aromantic. I have had crushes in the past, but they never felt serious. I believe in love and will embrace it when it comes my way. But for now, I am better off alone. I have goals and dreams, and desperately seeking a partner is not a priority for me. It is important for me to be able to love while being self-aware, and I find the single lifestyle to be perfectly normal. I value independence and believe that one should not seek validation from relationships if they cannot provide it for themselves. In summary, I am looking for my person or someone who will make a positive impact on my life. Story 14. I enjoy having the freedom to do what I want without needing to ask for permission. I may be relocating for school soon, and I recognize how challenging it would be to date someone at this time. Story 15. At the moment, no, because I am 26 years old and I have never been in a relationship. I want to know what it is like to be loved by someone. Story 16. No, my best friend killed my fiancé and son 13 years ago. Sometimes it's nice that I can do what I want all the time. Most times, I just miss them both too much to enjoy anything. Story 17. I am the happiest I have ever been, but I am also romantically ready for someone to come along to share that happiness with. Story 18. I used to be happy and single. Now I am happy and in a relationship, but being in a relationship takes a lot of time and effort. Story 19. I'm not happy being single. I really want to find a girlfriend and experience all aspects of love, the sweetness, the arguments, and even the messy parts. Life feels empty without sharing it with someone. I want those late-night talks, inside jokes, and someone who understands me. Relationships aren't perfect. People argue, can be annoying, or leave socks everywhere. But that's what makes it real. Story 20. Yes and no. Many times, I enjoy my peace and quiet, and I appreciate not having to worry about being disrespected or mistreated by a man. However, sometimes I feel lonely. Throughout my life, I have craved love. I want to love someone and have that love reciprocated. Story 21. I am feeling much better now. My last relationship was abusive, and I am no longer anxious. I can focus freely on myself, my needs, and my entertainment. Story 22. I am 37 and have never been in a relationship. I am currently traveling the world. I have a high-paying, well-respected job, and I am healthy. My parents are still alive and healthy, but I feel there is a void in my life which I suspect is due to a lack of deep intimacy with a good woman. I genuinely crave it. Story 23. Being single allows me to maintain both freedom and peace. These two aspects are far more important to me than being in a relationship. Story 24. Happier than I would be transitioning from one situation to another. I believe I would be happier with someone. Story 25. No time for distractions. If I want to, I can. But I would rather improve myself to be better for future opportunities. Story 26. Happy single? Yes, it is better than being with the wrong person. Am I happy in a way that means staying like this for my whole life? No. Story 27. Been married for 23 years since I left home and am waiting for our house to be sold. Once you experience peace without drama, it's addicting. I can't imagine myself with a woman right now. Story 28. Yes, because I am aware of the person I am, and I do not want to burden anyone while I am trying to heal. I should never be someone else's problem. Story 29. It can get lonely, but I would rather be single than give my energy to someone who is only disrupting my peace. Story 30. No, I am experiencing emotional distress. I feel lonely and need hugs and kisses, but I have not received any in 2 years. Story 31. Most of the time, I am happy being single and looking forward to meeting my person one day. Sunday loneliness hits once in a while. Story 32. 99% of the time, I won't lie. There are moments throughout the year when I think it would be nice to be in a relationship. However, I love coming home to peace and quiet and spending my free time as I wish. Story 33. Yes, I have spent all of my adult life in a relationship, and although it was lovely, I am very happy to experience being single. I think I will stay this way for a while. Story 34. Yes, as a matter of fact, I am happily single. The reasons include not having to ask for permission or consider anyone else. My time is my own, even after experiencing challenges in relationships. I have nobody to please but myself, and I don't have to worry about upsetting anyone. My hours can be whatever I want them to be, allowing me to enjoy my time alone without a to-do list. I don't have to drop everything I'm doing to fix someone else's problems or cater to others and their families. I can keep my space, thoughts, and emotions to myself. I don't have to maintain a schedule or provide for anyone but myself. I don't have to worry about how my actions affect others or feel pressured by attraction. I can seek companionship and have relationships with anyone I choose, stay out as long as I want, and as a man, I don't require much. I can sleep wherever I want, whether in a dumpster or in the woods with just a hammock. If I feel like catching a train, I can do so without second guessing, and I don't leave myself vulnerable to being hurt. Story 35. I have not really been single for 15 years. I was happy at first, but the lack of affection, having someone to talk to, and just being silly together really affects me. Story 36. Yes, because I don't want to deal with someone's debt or problems, and I don't need someone telling me I can't listen to holiday music before Christmas. Story 37. I'm a Generation X male. I've never been married, but I had 3 long-term girlfriends. I've been alone for 2 years now, although I've had some brief relationships. Overall, I'm happy being alone. The only thing I miss is being cuddled up in bed with a wonderful woman. Story 38. I have never been happier, to be honest. There is no drama, no emotional upheaval from a boyfriend's mother, no anticipation, no fights, just a calm and sweet life and amazing mental health. Story 39. I love being the only person in my home who tells me what to do. I don't want to be single forever. After a divorce and being a single father to 3 daughters, I am not going to settle again. If I can't find the right person, I will be happy being single. Story 40. Yes, the only person I have to worry about is myself. I tend to feel very constricted and stressed when I'm in a relationship, so I don't think it's something that will ever work out for me. Story 41. I am content and definitely less unhappy and sad than I was when I was in a relationship. In the meantime, it has been 12 years, and I do not want to adjust my ways for an outsider. Story 42. Of course, when I wake up at 5 a.m., I don't need to tiptoe around. I want a steak and Caesar salad for breakfast. An impromptu trip to Atlanta? Off I go. I am on pace to be retired well before age 50, and I never have to explain myself to anyone. Story 43. I have many personal items, so I don't need anyone else for anything. I have peace, and I live my life exactly as I want. No one disrespects me, lies to me, or takes advantage of me. I will never get involved with a man again. Story 44. I joined a dating app and found that when meeting people in person, they often look nothing like their edited photos or are using pictures from a decade or more ago. Sometimes you discover they have extreme political views. They often say, "It's just who I voted for," but it's really about their mindset as a person. I'm happy being single and enjoying my freedom. I would rather be alone than settle. Story 45. Yeah, I'm relaxed. I'm also not very interested in dating, so being single is my default state. Story 46. Not really, it would be nice to have a connection with someone. I used to be very sociable. Nowadays, it's hard. Story 47. 99% of the time, but when weddings and New Year roll around, it's not enjoyable. I miss being in a relationship, but I don't have the energy to be in one right now. Story 48. I'm so happy that I'm even scared of being single my whole life because I'm just so happy being single. I stopped dating casually about 3 months ago, but I'm at peace and focused on myself, which sometimes makes me feel a little selfish. Story 49. There is one person I would be willing to try with. Beyond that, I don't have the energy to try again. I have limited energy, and it needs to be focused at this point in my life. Story 50. No, I don't think I would necessarily be happy in a relationship. I do not want any more toxic relationships. I would rather be single. However, it would be nice to be in a loving relationship. I can see myself trusting life more and being happier. Story 51. I am happy enough and enjoy my own company. It is not difficult to find someone for the physical parts when I want to. Would I be against a relationship? No, but I am not actively searching for one. Story 52. I just got out of a relationship 2 days ago, and I feel absolutely incredible. I thought I was going to be heartbroken, but I am actually happier than I have been throughout the whole relationship. Sometimes you can feel lonelier in a relationship than by yourself. They deprive you of companionship while simultaneously robbing you of solitude and freedom. Story 53. I am happily married for many years. I would hate to be single these days. There is so much drama and health-related risks out there. I know there always have been, but I believe it is much worse today than it was when I was single. Story 54. I love myself, and I mean that in a healthy way. I enjoy being single because I can do what I want when I want. However, it would be nice to have a partner who could support me in life, allow me to lean on him at times, and share intimate moments. Story 55. Yes, it gives me peace and allows me to enjoy my time as I want it to be spent. However, I am not closing my doors to having a happy and healthy relationship. Story 56. Generally, yes. I was in a relationship for 14 years that ended 4 months ago. I'm dating another girl now whom I really like, but we are not cohabitating and live separate lives. So, I'm not completely single, but I am living on my own, and it's great. Story 57. While enjoying my freedom without the fear of breaking a heart is fun, I do feel lonely. Once I get a job, I will concentrate completely on that. I am not seeking a relationship. I'm not even 20 years old yet, and I have plenty of time for that. I'm not in a hurry. Story 58. No, I'm not in a relationship, but I would really love one. It just hasn't happened for me yet. After about 6 years of self-confidence issues and weight gain, I joined a gym and got myself back into relatively good shape. I actually asked a girl out yesterday for the first time in years. It was the most nerve-wracking experience of my life. It turned out she had a boyfriend, and although it didn't turn out the way I hoped, I feel better for at least taking the chance. Something I never would have dreamed of doing in the past few years. Story 59. I'm not. In the past, I was, but then I started a family with my now ex-partner. We bought a house in her hometown and have 2 young daughters. I thought we'd grow our family here together into our twilight years. We separated last year. Now I'm a single parent half the time, and the other half I live by myself in a town where the only social network I knew was my ex's family and friends, who became my local family and friends, or so I thought. I'm sure I'll find a way to be happy and single again, but right now I miss my partner, raising our daughters together, and the social life I was a part of here. I really struggle with the reality that my daughters live somewhere else half the time, and I can't see them or know what they're up to. They're 2 and 6. It's really hard feeling like I'm missing half of their childhood. I am in therapy, trying to get through this, but I am currently in the deepest depression I've ever experienced. Oh, I also work remotely for a technology company with no office nearby. Feels so isolating. At least I have my daughters, though. Story 60. I am still 20 years old. I find it boring sometimes, but most of the time I prefer talking to friends and spending time alone. However, I wouldn't say no to a healthy relationship. Story 61. I'm happy to remain single until I find someone worthwhile. I was in a difficult marriage for 20 years. I do not want to compromise the peace I have now for someone who isn't worth it. A good partner will enhance that feeling of peace and calm, not diminish it. Story 62. I am currently single, but I do date and engage in casual relationships. I am okay with this situation, but I am also open to alternatives. Mostly, I want children, and I hope to find a partner with whom I can achieve that soon. Story 63. People stress me out. Social situations stress me out. My ex and my daughter are the only people I see regularly, and I have no desire for that to change. Story 64. It's hard to say because both being single and being in a relationship have their benefits. However, as a teenager, I would suggest being proud of being single, at least for now. Story 65. Both yes and no. While I like the freedom to do whatever I want whenever I want, I do miss having someone by my side. Being able to hug and cuddle with someone while watching something or just being in bed and talking about whatever. I came out of a 10-year relationship at the end of 2023, and it has been lonely sometimes, especially now that I am unemployed. Right now, my focus is on finding work and improving my mental health. Then we'll see if a relationship is something I want. Story 66. Am I happy with being single? Yes. Am I happy in general? Not exactly. It's just that none of my unhappiness would be resolved by being in a relationship. Story 67. Yes, I would be happier in a good relationship. However, being single gives me much more freedom and peace of mind at this time. My last relationship became very codependent and unhealthy. There was a lot of love and fun, but it came at the cost of my mental health. Story 68. The idea of being single can feel unfulfilling. It often seems like something important is missing. You see couples everywhere, and it feels like a core experience of life is absent from your own. When comparing being single versus being in a relationship, I find it challenging. Part of me enjoys the freedom of being single, while another part yearns for closeness with someone. Since I have never dated, I cannot fully compare being single to being in a relationship or determine which experience is better. Story 69. I find that every relationship I have been in caused me more anxiety, and I am much happier being single. Story 70. I have high levels of stress and find most people to be inherently toxic, so I feel it is best to spend time alone. I enjoy my own company and save money. Story 71. Anytime I have dated someone, my life has become more stressful and complicated. I don't have a good sense for abusive behavior because of how I was raised, so I tend to date people that remind me of what home feels like. However, my home wasn't peaceful. Eventually, I would like to date someone who adds peace to my life, but for now, I find more peace in being single. I am still figuring out my career, my mental well-being, and where I want to live. I don't think dating would make any of that easier to manage. Story 72. Yes, I am happy being single. I love my space and independence, as well as the feeling of not being answerable to anyone. However, I would love to be in a happy, healthy relationship, as I do feel lonely sometimes. Story 73. I am single and currently navigating the dating scene with mixed results, but I am generally happy and satisfied. I have a warm and loving family that I see every day, and I am trying to expand that with a partner. Most importantly, I believe it is essential to work on yourself first before seeking a healthy relationship. Story 74. I can't imagine compromising on everything in my own home and during my free time. I like having everything on my own terms, just like most people do. However, some individuals prefer living in a symbiotic relationship and are willing to make sacrifices. I can do that, but not for long. I begin to feel anxious once the excitement fades and I realize I am trapped in a situation I chose. Sometimes, I miss watching movies with someone, but it doesn't seem worth it. Story 75. Yes, I am happy because I don't have to give anyone an explanation for why I am not in the mood to eat or go out. Sometimes, I just want peace and prefer to be alone with my playful mindset. Story 76. To be honest, no, I really thrive in a loving, healthy relationship. A lot of the time, I am just sad and questioning my entire existence, always feeling that the rug is going to get pulled out from under me. Love is the one thing that makes life worth living to me. Story 77. Yes, I feel free, happy, and healthy. If a good man came into my life someday and wanted to have a relationship, I would try. A year ago, I would have said no and that I never wanted a relationship again. I have grown, and I can now admit that it is something I want. Story 78. Yes, I enjoy my time alone. I would be happy in a relationship as well, but I am not particularly interested in seeking one right now. That may change soon, though. I will appreciate the single life while I can. Story 79. Not really. Most of my life, I have been content being single, but at this point, I'm pretty lonely and I want someone to have a deep connection with. However, my health is compromised, and I currently lack control over my life to pursue a relationship, no matter how much I desire it. Perhaps meeting the right person could encourage me, but I really don't think it's a good idea. Maybe in a year or two, if I can receive more support and regain some control over my life, I could justify it. Still, I have many doubts about my ability to sustain a relationship, which complicates things even if I were to try. I met a girl several years ago, shortly before my health deteriorated, and it was difficult to navigate. I kept getting worse as I got closer to her, and it even reached a point where I felt like I was on the brink of significantly declining health. At that point, I started to feel like I had made a mistake in trying to get close to her. In the end, I'm glad nothing happened between us because I don't think we were as compatible as I originally thought. I feel somewhat guilty because I feel like I led her on a bit, putting up a massive wall that prevented progress. She ended up finding someone else not long after, who I believe is much more compatible with her. While I feel relieved in that regard, I still feel bad that she might ponder the what-ifs if I hadn't been struggling so much. What hurt the most was the feeling that I had to walk away from love. While I'm mostly content with not having pursued anything further with that girl, I fear meeting the right person could lead to a repeat of that experience, potentially damaging a bond that could be special just because my life is in turmoil. Story 80. I was happy because I was free to sleep with whoever, and the suspense of who I would end up with tonight excited me. Story 81. I have quiet borderline personality disorder, so I'm actually much cooler outside of a relationship. I get miserable and depressed in relationships. Story 82. I enjoy being single, but I remain open to the possibility of a relationship. In my opinion, a good relationship is significantly better than being single, but both can be fulfilling if you maintain a healthy mindset. Story 83. I am not happy to be single because life needs someone by your side in all circumstances who also satisfies your needs. Story 84. Yes, because I get to spend a lot of quality time with friends and family. I also get to make decisions that involve one less person in big life choices. The money I spend is often for myself. It's also nice to not worry about dating and the problems or hurdles that come with it. I'm happy and at peace with being single. It's a good time. Story 85. Yes, I want a relationship, but I am not willing to deal with potential creeps simply because I am open about my attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and autism. I have only had 3 interactions with decent men online. Story 86. Yes, but it's because I have schizoid personality disorder, and online parasocial relationships are about the most I can handle. Story 87. Given my weekend plans, I'm in a good mood right now. Would I turn down a healthy and compatible relationship? Not at all. But I have a fulfilling life where my needs are being met, and I have plenty of time for myself when I need it. Not that I don't get lonely. I do. However, I could also feel lonely when I was married, and that's not a good feeling. Story 88. I have been single now for 4 months, and it gets better each day. The initial phase was primarily focused on processing the emotional impact of the relationship's end. There are still moments dedicated to that, but they are less frequent than before. Before that relationship, which lasted approximately 1.5 years, I intentionally stopped dating for nearly 2 years. My early post-divorce years were a time of exploration. After that period, I started looking for relationships of varying lengths, ranging from 1 night to 1.5 years. Throughout all of that, I was never truly alone. I was either in a relationship or searching for one. I needed personal time, so I deleted the dating apps and embraced solitude. At first, it felt strange not going out on weekends, but it soon became a normal routine. My children, who lived with me full-time, also had to adjust to me being home all the time, as they enjoyed having a parent-free space once in a while in the evenings. That time alone was amazing, and I am very thankful I took it. I discovered peace and happiness within myself, just being me as an individual outside of a relationship or the pursuit of one. Now that I am intentionally embracing singlehood again, I recognize its benefits. The duration of this phase has yet to be determined, similar to the last time. Being comfortable and at peace with oneself is a healthy state and can contribute to fostering a healthy relationship in the future. Story 89. Yes, I was happy until I met a guy who I fell head over heels for. He showed me how good it could be, but then he started to wreck my life. This situation is ongoing, but I am trying to remove myself. It just hurts because I like him and what could have been. Story 90. Yes, I am happy being a single guy. As others have said, you can do what you want when you feel like it and meet new people. When people ask if you like being single, the question can sometimes imply how you cope with being alone. In response, I would suggest the age-old advice of taking up new hobbies and trying new activities, as it keeps you active and adds variety to your life. At least that is true for me. Story 91. Yes, because there is no one there to put restrictions on what to do, whom to talk to, and whom not to talk to. Story 92. I am happy that I can focus only on myself. I don't have to be glued to my phone throughout the day to update someone about my day. Additionally, relationships can be expensive. However, I do miss the companionship. Having support when you need it most is nice. I enjoy my alone time, but I also appreciate being able to come home and have company. Sharing laughs and experiences is important. It's a day-to-day process. Some days are easier than others. Life is what you make of it. It's best not to worry about having a partner when you have support groups around you that truly care for you just as much, or even more, than a significant other. Story 93. Yes, it feels good to be truly connected with myself. I haven't quite figured out how to be in a relationship while keeping that connection alive and healthy. Story 94. I wouldn't say I am happy, but I am at peace with it. It is giving me time to focus on myself and what truly matters right now. Story 95. I am definitely happier when I am in a healthy relationship, but it's been years since I have had one of those, so I will just stick with being single. It's not too bad. Story 96. Yes, it is peaceful and quiet, and I love the freedom. I am independent, so thankfully I am living happily this way. It seems that no matter what I did or tried, I always ended up single, so I do not even try to fight it anymore. If someone comes along and changes that, great, but I am not trying to force anything anymore. Story 97. Not really. I have accepted that I expect too much and do not give much in return. I would like to change that, and I have tried, but I have not been able to. Story 98. I was alone for a while, but I think one can become a bit selfish and introverted, especially when living alone. Story 99. Absolutely. It has been a long time since I have been single, divorced. My only complaint about being single is that it is very expensive. You do not realize how advantageous it is in life to have two people contributing to expenses. Story 100. I'm happy I am single because in this economy getting married and having children seems like a one-way ticket to poverty. Story 101. While I wish I had someone for physical affection, it doesn't need to be romantic. I don't care about romance. Story 102. Yes, I can do whatever I want in my free time and spend time with whomever I choose. Still, if I find a partner who is not toxic, I wouldn't mind sharing my moments with her. Story 103. I am newly single and finally happy about it. I do not want a relationship right now. I think I have too much to explore, heal, and work on. I enjoy the freedom and learning about myself again without another person's energy to influence that. Story 104. Yes, because I don't have to compromise anything for someone, and I don't have to dedicate my time to anyone. I don't have to put someone above myself or my needs and wants. I don't have to justify anything to anyone. I don't want to go back to that lifestyle ever. I was in a long relationship, and months after the breakup, I started to realize how much of my freedom was sacrificed for someone who not only didn't appreciate it, but also conditioned the entire relationship around it while making it seem like this is how a healthy relationship is supposed to look. I feel positive about the next decade. Story 105. I'm happy now because I have my freedom and sanity back. I'm open to finding someone, but I'm not making it a priority since I can finally be myself again, and I'm loving every moment of it. Story 106. I wouldn't say that I am completely happy. Sometimes, reels on Instagram make me feel a bit strange, but I don't constantly seek out relationships. Story 107. I am newly single and starting to feel more peace every day. I would rather be alone than with the wrong person. Story 108. I am now, but I didn't used to be. Somewhere in my childhood, I learned a big dependency on people liking me. An intimate relationship is like the pinnacle of that, so I struggled a lot with seeing partners as means of validation, especially as a man. Now though, I don't care. I'm happy. The woman I truly need to love will come around when she needs to. Story 109. I love how it is worded. I am one person. Therefore, I am a unique individual. I wish I had a twin or a clone and the powers of Spider-Man. Story 110. Happiness comes and goes. I don't really try to be happy anymore, and as a result, I appreciate happy moments a lot more. I observe those moments and accept that they'll pass. With that said, being single brings me peace. That has been a constant. I would really love to have someone to enjoy peace with, but I won't sacrifice it now that I have found that something. When I was looking for happiness, thinking I would find it in people, that desperation opened me up to a lot of disappointment. I would love to blame that disappointment on others, but I can't blame people for being themselves and not what I'm looking for. How crazy is that? That concept is humorous to me now. I was part of the problem all along. I accept now that life, in the end, is a solo mission. I do hope one day I meet someone who matches my energy and effort, and I will appreciate them so much. Story 111. No, but I am unlikely to ever be with anyone again, so I try to keep my mind occupied with other things. Story 112. Yes, relationships are great, but life is enjoyable and uncomplicated. However, there are some disadvantages to consider. It all depends on your approach to life. Story 113. No, I'm lonely and want someone to share my life with, although it is better to be single than to be with the wrong person. Story 114. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's not that simple, to be honest. When I see other couples, it makes me miserable and makes me doubt myself in every aspect, wondering if something is really wrong with me, which is why I can't find a partner. But then there are moments when I am quite content with how things are going, albeit boring and monotonous. No expectations mean more time to invest in myself and my career, with fewer emotional turmoils to bother me. In short, I am conflicted. Story 115. When I was young, I struggled with it, but as the years went by, I became a lot more content with myself. I am definitely happy being alone. Story 116. I would say yes, but the reason is hard to explain. I had a complicated relationship with a girl who struggled with self-harm and was so traumatized that it was difficult to maintain the relationship. I am not saying I didn't try, but after a while, it became clear that we were not meant for each other, and it was better to be alone. We still communicate, which might not be healthy for her, but I know that she has been away from self-harm for some time due to the way we ended things. This contributes to 50% of my happiness about being single. The other 50% comes from having this much freedom and space. Story 117. I believe I avoided a lot of drama in high school and college by focusing on myself, which was nice. However, as I get older, I do hope that someone comes along eventually. I am not referring to superficial relationships. I mean a serious, meaningful connection. My plan was never to be single forever. That's partly why I didn't pursue dating when I was younger. I mainly wanted something serious and knew it was unlikely for anyone to be serious at that time. I've tried casual dating, but I'm just not into it. I'm not the type of person on dating apps who immediately talks about marriage, but if people don't consider me marriage material, I don't want them to waste my time. There are pros and cons to dating. While having a real relationship would be nice, sometimes it's just easier to accept being single to avoid unworthy people who waste your time and devalue you. Story 118. I would say I'm not miserable. I'm fairly content even. Like most people, a loving, healthy relationship would be nice, but I'm okay being alone. Story 119. I can do what I want when I want and how I want. I don't have to deal with a moody partner. I divorced him about 17 years ago. I wake up happy in my own space, relying on no one for anything. I go out, try new things, and push myself. I am writing this from a bar in a nice hotel where I am spending the weekend. I am enjoying the pool and spa, and I took a long walk in the sunshine, finishing with a drink at the pub. I'm here on my own. I enjoy my own company, and until I meet someone who understands me, I will continue living my life with as much color as possible. Story 120. Yes, I tried marriage once, but it didn't work out. Now I am happy doing my own things and enjoying my life at my own pace. Though I don't mind getting married again if I meet the right person, I don't want children, so that's another advantage of being single. Story 121. I have experienced good and bad relationships. I am currently single and enjoying my time dating, meeting new people, and feeling no pressure. My life is peaceful and fun. If I find someone who could be a fulfilling long-term partner, that would be great. However, I would not risk my peace for any relationship. Story 122. At the moment, I am very happy to be single because I am busy with my warehouse job and playing music. I couldn't handle another potential breakup as it would be very difficult for me. Story 123. Yes, I enjoy my peace. I appreciate being able to do whatever I want without having to consider someone else's schedule. However, that doesn't stop me from feeling lonely. I would like to be in a relationship again at some point, but I am also happy being single until I find the right person for me. Story 124. Yes and no. Yes, because I seem to never attract nice people. I do not know why, but I only attract abusive men or addicts. I feel like every partner I have had has never actually liked me. They just like someone for consistent intimacy. At the same time, no, because I am very lonely. I do not have family or friends, so being single is even more isolating than I usually feel. I am an introvert, so I am fine with being alone, and I still go out and can enjoy things on my own. But sometimes it gets to me, and I wish I had company or someone to celebrate holidays with, or someone who cared about me, since I do not have that at all. Story 125. Yes, I am genuinely happy being single. However, I would be lying if I said I didn't miss being in a relationship. I am acutely aware that a healthy relationship would only enhance my life, especially since I would no longer have to live with a flatmate who is not a partner. I have been tired of that necessity for 10 years at this point. Story 126. Asexual individuals often appreciate their own space. I was never happy when I tried dating, and I can be easily annoyed, which complicates things further. Story 127. Being in a relationship seems challenging from the outside. It was also difficult for me to even enter into one when I tried. It was hard enough that I never managed to do it at all. Since I prefer life to be easier, I am happy being single. There is no stress, no strain, and no drama. Story 128. At the moment, yes. But sometimes I just want to spend time with someone in a romantic way. I want to know how it feels to be reciprocated. I have been single since I was born, so yes. However, it is not a necessity to be in a relationship, so I choose to continue living and enjoying my days. Story 129. I'm not missing out on anything and don't see a reason to enter a relationship. I also don't have the time or patience required for a relationship at this point in my life. Story 130. It doesn't matter. I don't have any other option apart from being single, so I won't think about whether I'm happy or not. Story 131. I am happy being single. I didn't particularly choose to be single, but it just happened, and it doesn't bother me much. Story 132. No, I feel that every day without a partner is a waste of time. I have already outgrown the stage where I should enjoy my single life and discover who I am without anyone else. I believe this short journey called life should be shared with someone special. Story 133. I am happy and content. I lead a relatively pleasurable life. Many people might think my way of life is lonely and sad, but that is just their projection. Those who are in relationships often thrive in the company of others. For me, however, being around others clouds my thoughts, passions, and emotions, putting me in an unhealthy state of mind regardless of how compatible we are. I also believe my casual personality may not be well received by most people, making me somewhat difficult to be around for longer than a few weeks. Story 134. The condition is not stable. Sometimes, when I see the couple around me, I feel a fear of missing out. However, when I'm in a good state of mind, I focus on my goals. Story 135. I consider myself whole rather than single. I am open to a relationship, but only one that makes me stronger. Story 136. Yes, I get to spend time with myself and be true to who I am. Peace and quiet. I am open to a relationship, but I am not in any rush. I was in an 18-year relationship previously. Story 137. Yes and no. It's nice not needing to explain anything to anyone. I can do exactly what I want whenever I want. I miss attention and sleeping in a spooning position. However, as long as there isn't a healthy relationship available, I'd rather enjoy my peace. Story 138. I am happy being single, but I believe I would be happier in a good relationship. My last relationship was not fulfilling, and I am happier without that person, but a great relationship adds joy to life. Life is what you make it. I am currently dating someone, so I am not completely single, but I have been. Story 139. I'm happier now as a single man than I was when I was in a relationship. This change had everything to do with the relationship and how the last month unfolded. The relationship started out fine, but if your partner doesn't feel like looking for a compromise on something that makes you uneasy, it becomes unhealthy fairly quickly. I would really like to have a healthy relationship again, which means having fun and ensuring equality. It involves knowing how to take accountability for actions, understanding that sometimes you need to seek compromise, and recognizing that a relationship takes work. Your default mode shouldn't be to leave when things get difficult. Story 140. I would say that it doesn't matter if I am single or not when it comes to my happiness. I am more or less just miserable regardless. Story 141. Life is easier when done together, and nothing is better than cuddling on the couch and watching a movie. Being single is difficult, and dating is hard nowadays. Story 142. Very. I just like the freedom. I might be able to be happy in a relationship too, but my life is already quite full. It would be hard to add to it without overflowing. Story 143. I am much happier now than I was in a bad relationship, although I still feel less happy than I would in a good relationship. If I stay busy enough, I can avoid feeling as unhappy as I did in a bad relationship. The benefit of being single is that it allows for the flexibility to shape my life according to my own feelings. In a relationship, there tends to be a fixed baseline of emotions I experience on a daily basis. Story 144. I am happy. I would probably also be happy with the right woman, but the in-between stage would make me miserable. Dating is difficult. I participate very little, and I will never fully commit to it again. The ghosting for no apparent reason, the unbelievable expectations, and the unfathomable reasoning of some people. No, that's like alcohol. It's poison and a really bad idea in large quantities. Story 145. No, because I've been single forever and I'm tired of it. I dislike seeing undeserving men walking around with attractive girlfriends. Story 146. I genuinely enjoy solitude. If you are not happy in solitude, you are in bad company. It would take something special for me to want to risk upsetting my life. Story 147. I wouldn't say that I'm happy, but I'm used to it. I've mostly been single all my life, and starting a relationship now would feel strange. That's not to say that I don't find people attractive or that I haven't met anyone who excites me. However, being in a relationship now would just feel awkward for me. Story 148. No, absolutely not. It's like having a good day or a bad day. You perform well at work or not. You go back to your bed, and nothing you did matters. It feels like being in a band with no band members, no audience, and no one there but you and your instrument. First, you feel content. Then you realize it's all wasted talent and wasted potential. Story 149. I am happy being single and having the freedom to do the things I enjoy. However, I would be very happy to be in a healthy relationship. I want marriage, not just a wedding day. I want a partner and best friend for life to face challenges together. Story 150. Lately, I have focused on personal goals and bettering myself, gaining extra confidence, and things are falling into place for me. I recognize my worth and see red flags more clearly. Additionally, I have enough experience to understand my own preferences and do not feel guilty about them. However, I would be happy in a stable and fulfilling relationship, so I am not dismissing that idea. I am in no rush and take my time to get to know a person better. Story 151. Yes and no. Yes, because I don't know it any other way. No, because I really want to understand how it is, and I feel quite lonely emotionally, even though I have family and friends around me. Story 152. Yes, I am happy. I don't have any unrealistic expectations for anyone. I don't wait for others, and I can do whatever I want. Story 153. I am happy not being with a person who drains my energy, but am I happy being single? No, I am not. Would I be happier in a relationship? Probably not. I have mental health challenges. Story 154. Having no experience with dating, romantic relationships, or casual hookups, I appreciate my solitude. I am solely responsible for everything in my life, which also forces me to maintain accountability for my actions. Although I may never know what it feels like to be in a relationship or to be with someone in that way, I accept this reality. Nowadays, it seems unworthy to attempt to connect with someone, only to face betrayal repeatedly. It is too easy for men to find women for casual encounters, making it difficult for someone like me to feel I have a chance. What makes this situation even more frustrating is that I am only 26 years old. Story 155. I am very content being single with a great support group of friends and a social circle. However, I would not mind being in a relationship. Story 156. Yes, I would be happy with the right person, but there is just as much chance that someone can make you unhappy as happy. Story 157. No, to be honest, I alternate between feelings of depression and acceptance. I have never attracted a girl, and I understand that it is unlikely to change. I know that I have many mental health challenges that would make a relationship with me very demanding. She would need to be very patient with me, which might be too much to ask of anyone. Some of us end up alone. I wish someone had told me that. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.